What's going on, guys? Alex with TFL Off-Road, and this is the all-new Ineos Grenadier. And this is a really exciting video because we're in our backyard in Colorado. Andre's driven it in Canada, Tommy's driven it overseas. We've gotten to climb around it, but that's been on Ineos's terms. Now we're on a trail that we picked out, and we get to take this off-road without any of the Ineos people, and we get to see exactly how this does off-road. So yeah, let's jump right into it, take it out on the trail. This is four-wheel drive all the time, so when you get to the trail, there's nothing you really have to do. You just kind of hit the dirt and keep going. But right here, it's starting to get a little more articulated, so I am gonna enable some of our toys. We're in high. I'm gonna pull up this little collar here and go straight back. Low is now engaged up on the center screen right here. I don't think I'm gonna need the center diff lock just yet, so we'll just leave it in low range and see what happens. I'm also going to push that button there to enable off-road mode. We get a little confirmation there. It's asking me to press again. Now I have this vehicle in off-road mode, showing it here. Traction control is off. Parking sensors are disabled, and it will let me drive without my seatbelt chiming at me. And I think that stays in till around like 40 or 45 miles an hour. So yeah, we're good to go. Put it back in drive and see what this is all about at home in Colorado. I'm so excited. All right, well, we are up here in the Rainbow Falls off-road area, and like I said at the start of this, we haven't had the chance to get this off-road in Colorado or drive it on-road at all. So this is a real test, and we're doing it, you know, on our own terms. No one's telling us where to go, what to do, what buttons to press, what lines to take, so we're just out here having fun today. All right, I am coming up to this ledge now, so I am going to engage the center locker. Really easy to do that, just mechanical lever over to the side. Now the front and rears are locked together at the same speeds, and I can just slowly start to climb up over this. So far, a really comfortable ride off-road. Solid axles front and rear, so lots of articulation. When one tire gets pushed up in the air, the other gets pushed down towards the ground, and you keep really good traction. And so far, tons of grip out of these BFG KO2s. And a really soft, compliant ride. There we go. Center locker working wonders. Haven't needed to touch the rear locker or the front locker just yet. But really nice and easy, nice and comfortable too. Visibility is really, really good out of this. I can see both the front left and front right corner. I can see the passenger front corner from the driver's seat. So I know exactly where all four corners are. And yeah, this isn't necessarily a small vehicle, but it doesn't feel big out on the trail. That just tackled that really well. And one thing I'm noticing is I'm just having a lot of fun sitting in this driver's seat. This just has a rugged off-road feel, so the vehicle matches the activity I'm doing outside, and I don't say that about every truck or off-roader I take into the mountains. And looking at what's powering this Grenadier, you can see right on that engine cover, powered by BMW. This is their B58 powertrain, which is a 3-liter turbo straight 6. It makes 282 horsepower and 332 foot-pounds of torque, 0 to 62 miles per hour in 8.8 seconds. So not exactly super fast. We will get it out on the road and see what it's like to handle on the road, because we haven't done that yet. Linked to an 8-speed ZF transmission. And that gas straight 6, that's the only engine option we get here in the States. This one's rated at 14 miles per gallon, 15 miles per gallon on some of the other models that aren't the Trial Master. But if you're overseas, you get the option for a diesel engine, also a 3-liter straight 6. We don't get that here in the States though. Funny enough, we have an old school blade style key that you actually stick into the dash and turn. Not too often you get to do that anymore. Look at that though. Compass kind of moves around and shows you your heading. shows you your elevation. All the instrumentation is in the center screen, and then over here we just have kind of this dummy display with all of our dummy lights and, you know, indicates if your lockers are on, things like that. But most everything happens here, and there's a ton of information that this screen gives you. It's a little bit slow to load sometimes, but once you're there, it really shows you a lot. So we have pitch and roll, altitude, all that kind of stuff. Ton of information here, tire pressures, but also temperatures for the gearbox, the transfer case, and tire temperatures, which I haven't seen in any other vehicle I can think of. We also have a pathfinder, gives you longitude, latitude. Same thing here with, you know, a little bit of an elevation graph. Really chunky knobs for all your controls down here. And I like how you have these exposed screws everywhere. It just has this kind of rugged look to it. And then if we move further down here, we've got a BMW shifter, which looks a little out of place here. I wish they beefed that up and made it just look a little funkier. I know that they need an electronic shifter for the ZF 8-speed, but it'd be nice if it just had more of a chunky, solid off-road feel to match the transfer case lever. You can switch between high and low and then slide it over to engage your center diff. And then if we move up top, the rest of our controls are up here. So you have your front and rear differential locks, you have your off-road mode, which like turns off your parking sensors and seatbelt chimes and stuff. You have a water fording mode, all your exterior power switches, so you can hook up light bars and things. Very aircraft feel in here. The only thing we're missing in here is a sway bar disconnect. This is a solid front axle, and that's something, you know, you would expect to see in a Bronco or a Wrangler. And you know, even though this isn't totally on par with those vehicles, I wish I had a sway bar disconnect. Regular horn button here, but check out this little toot button. That's so cool. Driving through a city or something, or just, you know, saying hi to your neighbors as you're passing by, give them a little toot. Now, we drove this about 30 minutes on the highway to get up to this trail, and it turns a lot of heads on the highway. And that's because there's a lot of things on this vehicle that just stand out. You don't see them a lot on any other car, truck, or really off-roader. So first of all, steel bumpers. You expect to see that on an off-roader. A winch that's hidden behind the license plate. Yeah, pretty typical stuff. But if you start coming along the side here, start to get a little less common. So black steelies, that's been a trend that's been taken off a little bit in the past few years, but you've got it on the Ineos Grenadier, and I think that's an awesome look, especially with the white lettered KO2s. But then as you work your way back, things get a little stranger. So you can see we've got almost like this C-track in the side of the doors. You can hook accessories into there. We put suction cup GoPros on the side of vehicles all the time, and with a system like this, we could really secure it in there and save our GoPros. We'd stop running them over, which would be awesome. You also have these grab handles up on the roof, so you can really easily, you know, strap snowboards or anything into your roof rack, get up onto a rooftop tent just by climbing on the tire. Got this nice ladder on the back too. Same thing, give you easy access to the top here, but you've got a really cool hatch design too. So you've got a funky split here, and you can open just this small section, but then very easily you can swing the entire thing away, and you've got a nice wide opening with, again, more tie downs in the rear. Also, one of the other things that makes this vehicle really unique are these safari windows. So you've got this lever in the back, and you can just kind of pop them up like that to give yourself some airflow. It also gives you a really cool view out of the top when you're on the trail. The Grenadier doesn't have a removable roof, but this is a really cool option. These safari windows completely come out. You've still got a roof over your head. This takes like 10 seconds to do, and they store in the back really easily, unlike some of the really big roof panels that you get in some other vehicles. So this is a really cool option, and if I were buying one of these safari windows would be a must-have. As always, we're using Onyx Off-Road while out on the trail to make sure we stay on the right path. Elevate your adventure planning with 3D trail maps to take your adventure to the next level. You can plan your trip in 3D on your desktop, visualize public and private land boundaries in 3D on mobile, and navigate off-road trails in 3D right from your vehicle's dash. All of your waypoints and custom data automatically syncs from your computer right to your phone for a seamless transition from planning to exploring. Once you're out in the wilderness, you can use the Discover feature to find open trails that are accessible by your vehicle within 100 miles and unlock the library of curated trail and map data with every tap on the map. Know how to find a nearby escape quickly so you can spend less time planning and more time off the pavement. All right, we're now inching up to a little bit of a tougher obstacle. Center diff is still locked. We'll go rear diff locked. You just hold it down for a second, starts flashing on the center screen, and we'll go front locked. Why not? We have it available to us, so we'll use it right away. They're flashing right now. I assume once I start to spin, yep, they locked up right away. So very impressive there. I'm on an incline right now. They locked up very easily, much better than some other stuff we've tested, like the Toyota products, for example. And now I'm able to just, yeah, real slowly climb my way up. No slippage. You know, there's a lot of vehicles out there with advanced traction control systems, and they grab brakes and, you know, send torque to different wheels, but there is nothing in the world that can beat having a center locker, a front locker, a rear locker, having triple lockers off-road. Nothing beats it. And yeah, you pair that together with solid axles, body on frame construction. This is a truly proper off-roader, and that's really clear by the way this just hammered up that. No problem whatsoever, and I guarantee you if I didn't have lockers, I'd be sitting there using a lot more momentum. So lockers just give you the confidence you need to get up and over everything, and yeah, triple lockers that are easy to engage. This thing can take you pretty much anywhere. Now this center screen, it's a little bit interesting. So it's all lit up right now because I'm in off-road mode. I've got all my lockers enabled. I'm in low range. Cole's sitting next to me. He doesn't have a seatbelt on, but let me show you something. If I turn the lockers off, and then if we disengage the center locker and put it back into high range, and then turn off our off-road mode, this is how you would be driving it basically on the street. And once you're driving it like this, that screen looks pretty bare and there's nothing on it. So off-road, it's cool, it's lit up, it's showing you everything you need to know, but when you're actually driving this on-road, which is probably where you're gonna spend most of your time, it kind of looks broken. I mean, I know it's not broken, but there's nothing displaying there, and it'd be nice to at least, you know, see my speed or something. So at the start of this video, I said that we were coming out here without any of the people from Ineos, and that was a little bit of a lie, but what I meant was none of the like PR people or the corporate Ineos people. I'm here with Chris. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And, Chris, tell us who you're with.
I'm with the Red Noland Auto Group. We are the Ineos dealer for Colorado and all the surrounding states.
And we have a huge thank you to give Chris and Red Noland, because without them, this video wouldn't have been possible. The vehicles we're driving have like 80 miles on them. They showed up at your dealership not even 24 hours ago.
That is correct.
Here we are off-road. So
we get to break them in.
Yeah, huge thank you to you for letting us get behind the wheel super early. Are these the first in Colorado?
These are the first two vehicles in Colorado.
The first two Colorado. And I don't know about you, but when we were driving out here to this trail, every other car that drove by us and was passing us was looking over, peeping, taking pictures. They definitely turn heads.
Yeah, it's kind of a challenge to drive these. I drove one home last night and almost got sideswiped by a Defender, yeah. So it's definitely a head turner. Yeah, and this blue one we're standing in front of is a little bit different. So what I've been driving most of the time is the Trial Master, which is kind of the off-roady version. This is the Field Master. Can you tell me a little bit about that? So this Field Master is wrapped in shale blue, which I think just absolutely pops on this car. It does have your utility rails and some things like that, but it has some more refinement. It's got the Recaro leather seats, it's got the premium sound system, still the same ride, still the same off-road capability, just, you know, a couple extra creature features.
And there's also a base model, right? But you can equip the base model to be more like these if you wanted to.
Absolutely. So the customization is kind of the name of the game. They really want it to be personalized for the consumer and whatever their lifestyle needs are.
So if I wanted a base model with the Safari windows and the lockers, but nothing else, I could do that.
Yep.
Cool.
So we have tons of options and we're always happy to help.
And so if they want to get in touch with you and place an order on one of these, how do they do that?
Just look up Red Noland Ineos Grenadier at rednoland.com, or just call up and ask for Chris. I'd love to help you guys.
Cool. Again, huge thanks to Red Noland. We would not be out here off-roading these in Colorado and being the first ones to do it without Chris and Red Noland. So thank you. So far, nothing to complain about in this Grenadier. I don't think I've lifted a tire once. Really good articulation and wheel travel. All four wheels are on the ground, and that goes a long way to keeping me going on this trail, which is actually pretty highly articulated. A lot more challenging than some of the trails we do a lot of times. But yeah, this powertrain's been pretty great so far off-road. I really like this engine. Transmission is nice and smooth, and it's easy to modulate power. I'm not feeling like I'm struggling putting in any inputs to this. Lockers are easy to engage. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. The steering is a little bit, let's call it not precise, but that actually helps you off-road. You have a really wide range of steering, so you have to put a lot of input in for things to happen, and that makes it easier to place your wheels. So yeah, that's all good. The one thing that I'm not super stoked on is the camera system. And if we look at what we get, it's just a reverse camera and not great quality too. I guess the good news is sight lines out of this are really, really good. I can see clear over my hood. It's a really narrow hood. And even in my mirrors, I can really easily see my rear tires. And yeah, visibility out of this is pretty good all the way around. So yeah, I mean, I'm bummed I don't have a camera system because of the price, but I'm not feeling like I need the cameras to get me down the trail. I just, for the money you spend on this, it should have better cameras. Now, as far as how this Ineos Grenadier drives on-road, we're gonna come to a stop real quick. No cars behind me. And we'll mat it. And it takes a second to get off the line and get rolling, but once you do, it gets up to speed just fine. They list this 0 to 62, which is a little weird, in about 8.8 seconds. So yeah, it's not quick. And definitely, you know, from a launch, it really takes some time to get moving. But you do have a turbocharger, and once you're already up to speed, this powertrain's great. Passing power, you've got plenty of it, and I think this is a really good amount of power. It's not excessive. This is still an off-roader. You know, you have solid front axles. You're not going to want to go very fast. They list the top speed at like 99 miles an hour. But you have acceleration to get you around cars or to merge on the highway, and that I think is pretty important. As far as comfort goes, I'm really comfortable in this. First of all, I've got these nice soft cloth seats. They're actually Recaro seats, and they're quite comfortable. I sat in the leather seats for a few minutes, and those are also just pretty much equally as comfortable, although I prefer cloth seats a little bit. But yeah, overall, it's real comfortable. It's a little noisy, but we have big KO2 tires. We also have a very vertical windscreen. It's not as noisy as something like a Wrangler, although I do kind of feel reminded of driving a Wrangler when I'm behind the wheel of this, mainly the steering feel. You know, it's a little loose, which is great off-road like I talked about, but you do have to, you know, give it some corrections to keep it going straight down the road. And it's not quite as bad as a JL Wrangler, but it's definitely, you know, not as good as something that has independent front suspension. I can also feel all the bumps and cracks in the road, which I actually like. I feel very connected to the road, and off-road, again, that goes a long way to feeling confident and just knowing where all four corners are. There's a lot you can feel through the steering wheel, and I think that's pretty good. Visibility on-road, just like off-road, it's really great. Fuel economy, not so amazing, about 14 miles per gallon in this vehicle, but this is definitely a car I could live with every day. I mean, I don't feel super terrible about getting it dusty and dirty in here because it does have kind of a rugged feel. It feels nice and roomy in here. I have tons of space between me and Cole, who's shooting this video right now. Nice ledge to rest my arm up on. Yeah, I could be in here for hours. On road, it's plenty comfortable. Well, there you have it, the Ineos Grenadier, and I have to say, I am thoroughly impressed with how this handled the trail. Didn't really lift a tire once, didn't lose traction. It just handled this trail like a champ, which isn't much of a surprise because this has all the off-road tech, and if you look at the spec sheet, it has everything it needs to get you out on the trail and not get stuck. So yeah, that shouldn't come as much of a surprise at all. I don't think there's a ton of vehicles out there that speak to me like this. I mean, there's a lot of vehicles out there that are maybe as capable as this, but I don't think all of them look as good. You don't have the cool interior. This just has a really industrial, rugged feel to it that you don't see in too many modern vehicles anymore. I'm really excited to get our hands on the TFL Grenadier. You know, we have one on pre-order. We're going to be taking it on a lot of off-road trails and really putting it through its paces. So as soon as we get our hands on that, expect a ton of videos towing, some really tough off-roading. But for today's video, I just have to say a huge thanks to Red Noland, because without them, this wouldn't have been possible. They trusted me to drive this brand new Grenadier. There's only 2 of them in Colorado, only like 30 of them in the country right now. And yeah, they put me behind the wheel when they haven't even had it for 24 hours. So if you want one of these, go check them out. You can go hit them up for a test drive. They're your place to go if you're in this area or really anywhere in the country and you want an Ineos Grenadier. Like I said, really impressed. I think this is probably the Land Rover Defender that Land Rover should have built, but we got something else instead. I really like this and I can't wait till TFL gets it. Thanks for watching. Check out alltfl.com, add Red Noland, and we'll see you in the next video.